Hello, can we talk about parenting today and the various stages involved in the development of a child? I first learned about this during our premarital classes, but then those just appeared like fun facts. Years later, when I'm in that space, that's when you realize you need a lot of understanding and knowledge to navigate through the parenting season. Good thing is, parents and good parents are not born, they are made. So you can become a good parent if you invest yourself in learning and understanding your child. So the first thing that surprised me is that the human brain, that of a child now, develops fully at the age of 24 to 25 years. That's when things finally click to the human brain. And so the things we are doing as parents as we raise our child through the various years below 25, those are just seeds. We will see their effect and reap the harvest past the age of 25. That's when things now will align. They will not be driven by emotions or trying to figure things out. The brain will click and things will start making sense. And so also for the things, we also need to be very gracious to our children for the things they do before they get to that age, and even to ourselves for the things we did before we got to the age of 25 years. Whatever you did that you feel like that was a mistake before the age of 25 years, forgive yourself. The Bible actually says, allow me to read Psalms 25 verse 17, that God forgive me for the foolishness of my youth. Those are the things that I did and the decisions I made before the prime age. So forgive yourself also. So to parenting, there are various stages and they are divided into years. So the first stage is the infancy stage. This is the age of 0 to 2 years. That sweet age when the newborn comes into the family. And the infancy stage, this is the stage where what the child needs most from us as the parent is bonding. This is where they need us to spend time with them, to play with them, to hold them, to cuddle them, to read books to them, to sing songs to them. That is what is most crucial at this stage. And at this stage, you can never really love your child enough or hold them enough. They will always want more and more of you. This stage of bonding is also the stage where the child build their security and their awareness. They learn they get their sense of belonging from the person who they spend most of their time with. And in most cases, since the mom is the one who is the parent that is first introduced to the child, from the womb, they would listen to your heartbeat, so they know you, and so they will learn the scent, the smell of the mom, their voice. And so this is what they need as they are being launched into this world, to just find their place. And also something to note in this stage is that there is really nothing or no one that can replace your presence. There is no nanny, even the best in the world, or the most experienced and well-paid nanny, that can take the place of a parent at this stage, because a parent is a parent. The child will need you, so nothing can replace you at this time. So the way to love a child in the infancy stage is to spend time with them. Whatever you do, just spend time with them. And their kids are very exciting and are very interesting at this stage. I remember when our son was around 18 months, they were playing with the dad, and the dad would throw the ball and catch it, and the kid would laugh, and he was so fascinated at every time. And we counted that the dad did that for 200 times, and the kid would laugh at every time the ball was thrown. And I was just thinking, this kid doesn't get tired, but the parent, you get tired. But even when you get tired, change the activity or just get things to do together with your child. Infancy stage is the bonding stage. They need your time to develop their security and sense of belonging. The second stage is the early childhood, and this is between the age of 3 to 5 years. And this is the stage where the child now knows to walk, they can talk, they can communicate a little bit better, they play more. And what is important in this stage is to establish a routine and create a rhythm for their life, for the things, the activities they do. This ensures that there is predictability and also settles the mind of the child. When the child knows that after play, I'll get to the house, I'll take a shower, I'll eat my food, then take milk and sleep. That reduces the things they have to worry or hope or expect that are going to happen, and also reduces the anxiety, rather than in a situation whereby the child comes from playing and then you tell her to go to bed directly, or the child comes from playing and there is food, and so they are wondering, will I eat food, then do I sleep, at what time will I shower, how exactly is this life structured as. So creating a routine is key in this stage, 3 to 5 years. So now the child can explore when they have some stability in their life. Routine for kids is very important. It sets a rhythm and gives them stability. They can venture into new things when they know their core, their stable areas, the things that they need most have already been taken care of. It's also the stage where we introduce discipline. At this stage is where the child can be corrected and understand how to correct, the kind of discipline that is being instilled at this stage. As especially for me, I struggled because the child will show some behaviors or do something and you're wondering, do I beat them? Is it the time to give them, go to the corner? And there's a lot of information, especially in the social media, on how to discipline children. Somebody will share that my child does this, and then another person will comment, oh, no, beat them. Another person will say, no, when you beat, you create trauma. Basically, there's a lot of information that is out there, and it was very confusing for me on what to do or what's the right way to go about it. And what helped, and I would urge every parent who's listening to me, and you have a small child, sign up for the parenting class in Nairobi Chapel. It offers a Christian view on how to bring up your child, and it settles a lot of the noise that we hear, because when you have especially your firstborn, everybody wants to advise you, and they will advise you based on what they did to their child, but their child is not yet grown, so we don't know if what they did is actually the right thing. But you can trust the Bible, that what the Word of God says, because it has been tested over the ages, it works. Whatever the Word of God guides, it works. So if you can, go for that class. But one of the things I learned and I would like to share is that discipline is very different from beating. The kind of beating that we went through when we were growing up, and people say it caused them traumas and they're healing. Discipline is more structured, and discipline is inflicting pain so that you can correct a behavior or a mistake that has been done. Pain could be using a rod. Pain could be denying a toy or denying something that the child really likes, and this is something you'll be taught. But let me share something in this stage. For example, we were taught on how to use the cane. The Bible says that spare the rod, spoil the child. But then there's the way you use it. So first, what happens is when your child does a mistake, the first time is you take the opportunity to teach them that what they did is wrong, and give a warning. Then there's also the second time where there's a warning. When they repeat, then you use now your rod. And when you're using your rod, you don't do it in public, because when you do it in public or in front of other people, the child will want to rebel, because they also have a social standing and they want to be seen. They still got it. But we were advised that take him or her to a room, explain why the mistake has been done, remind them we agreed that this should not be done. We agreed that when you disobey in such a way, you'll get 1 cane. If you repeat a mistake, or if you shout at someone or abuse, then those are 2 canes. So depending on the mistake that you have done, you're going to get 1 stick. So you beat them, then give them time, after the 2 strokes, because they are painful, give them time to cry. And then when they have calmed down, hold them and hug them and remind them of your commitment to love them and to always be with them, that you're committed to see the best in them, that what you're disciplining is to remove the wrong, the mistake that is there, but for you as a parent, you always be there for them. And this is important because even in our world today, when children grow up, there will be things that will beat them here and there, but they need to know that they can always come to you as a parent to be hugged and to be loved and to be comforted. So don't use your hands to beat your child. Your hands are for loving your child. Use the rod to discipline your child. Another thing in the discipline area in this stage is that discipline immediately a mistake has been performed, so that the child can learn to associate the consequence or the pain in this case to the wrong behavior that was done. So don't do it a day or hours later. When a mistake is done, call your child, go through the process so that they know, when I abuse, there is pain. When I do this, there is this. Because at this age, you said we are developing a routine and settling them into the right behavior. In the issue still of disciplining, something that made a clear distinction whether the psychologist or the Christian way is that Proverbs 22:15 says that folly or foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline will drive it out. So your child, if let alone to live the natural way of life, will choose foolishness. But the rod of discipline is what will remove that foolishness from your child. So disciplining your child, it's not that children, I always thought that children were born holy and then they learn bad behavior from us, but foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. So use your rod to remove the foolishness, and that's also a way of loving your child. Sparing the rod actually destroys their future. Proverbs 29:17, it says that correct your son and he will give you rest. Yes, he will give you delight to your soul. If you don't correct your child when they are young, then they will give you the opposite, pain. And think of it this way. Nowadays, in the world, when you do a wrong, you're an adult, even you've broken traffic rules, you're not told to go to a corner and think about what you've done. Depending even with the gravity of your mistake, you go to prison. I would not want to think that that's the kind of discipline you want to bring your child into. They need to learn that there is pain that is associated to doing something wrong, because the reality is that's the world they will grow up to be. And also the common verse, spare he who spares his rod. This is interesting. Proverbs 13:24 says that he who spares the rod hates his son. Hates his son. And that's the Bible. If you spare your rod, you hate your child. Discipline them. Discipline is a way of loving your children. But he who loves him disciplines him promptly. When the mistake is done, discipline. So 3 to 5 is the age to set the boundaries and the rules of what our values are, what is considered wrong in this family, and the discipline that will be met if you do that wrong. And also don't discipline out of frustration. When the child has done something wrong, then you rush, take a cane and beat. No, and don't discipline for something you have not taught. So if a child does a mistake the first time, you don't beat them. You explain to them why this is wrong according to the values, and we are based in the our values are based in God, and this is wrong because of this. So it's after they repeat that now you beat. But when they do it the first time, it's an opportunity to teach that that's wrong, and that there is discipline that will come if that wrong is not rectified. So 3 to 5, set a routine. Discipline is also key. So something else in the age of 3 to 5 before we move on is that this is a stage to establish to your child that your love for them is unconditional. That in every circumstances you'll have as a parent, you will say yes to loving them and to loving them with everything that you have. But in the same breath, you will say no to them doing things their own way. They cannot do things their own way. They do not have the capacity to decide what is right or wrong at this age. It's an age to be guided. So no to everything that is harmful to them now or in the future, and yes to loving them unconditionally. It's the stage to mold character and discipline. The next stage is the older childhood, and that's between the age of 6 to 9. And this is a stage of just cementing and putting a seal on the discipline and character. This is where now we finalize what discipline and character is expected and we want for them. Because if you don't do it now, then when they get to teenagehood, you are going to go into a marathon instilling integrity and discipline to them. If you are in teenagehood already, your child is a teenager, it's never too late. When you learn how to do it the right way, it still can be done. But if your child is younger, 6 to 9 years, then this is the place to now put down your foot and instill discipline to them. And so in this stage, there are tools that you can use to just seal what you began in the previous early childhood in the area of discipline. And one of them is reward have a reward system. Before you set out what is right, what is wrong, you taught them what is right, what is wrong. Now have a reward system. For example, you taught them how to pick their toys. You said maybe they need to be making their bed, or taking the dishes to the kitchen after a meal. Then now have a reward system to it. So for example, if you fold your clothes and your room is neat, then I will reward you with something that you have wanted to have. Can even have a reward chart so that the child knows how they performed from Monday to Friday, and then the Saturday or Sunday is the reward day. And the reward is not just positive, it's two-way. It can be positive or negative, because we are teaching them their consequences. So for example, you say that in your family you do Saturday brunch and you go out. So the reward can be that if your room is neat and you finished your homework by Friday evening, on Saturday when you're going to brunch, we'll go to your favorite restaurant as a family. The reward in the negative would be that you'll be left at home to tidy up your room and to finish your homework. Either way, it's a reward for the activity or the expectation that was not met. The other thing is to praise your child. Take every opportunity to praise your child when they have done something right. Because what praising done is, it raises their self-awareness and their confidence, and it tells them that they are good enough, that they can, they measure up. And something we learned is that there's a different way of praising. There's a way of praising that can be harmful, I know, and there's a way of doing it right. So for example, you don't praise the end, you don't shower praises to the end, you praise the process. You want to encourage your child to be willing to take on a challenge and get to the end. You don't just praise the end. So for example, you don't say that you are intelligent, or you are what else, you win, or you're a good swimmer. There's actually an example that we've given. There's a child who in this age was a good swimmer, and so the parents were always praising him that you're the best in swimming, and so in the school they were in, the child was always the best. Then another child was transferred into their school, and that child was better in swimming than our case study. And so this child, who had always thought that they are good enough to their parents because they swim, now opted to leave the swimming class. Why? Because he did not want to be number 2, because he felt he is failing the parent. But so the right way of doing it is not to praise the end, because when you praise the end and a child is subjected to a situation where he might not win, he may not be smart enough, he may not be intelligent enough, she may not be the most neat girl in the room, they will tend to avoid that situation so as not to disappoint you. So the right way to praise the child is to praise the process. Encourage them, like, CBC, the way you did that, you drew that house today, it looks amazing. I like that you used red and you used green for the roof, that you're making the effort. Appreciate the effort and the process. And praising the effort and the process tells the child that as long as you're trying, as long as you're putting your best foot forward, as long as you're putting an extra 5 minutes to finish the assignment, then I am proud of you. So they don't have to be number 1. He could be, well, there are no numbers now, but his picture doesn't have to be the best in class. His scarecrow doesn't have to be the best in the CBC class. But as long as he or she tried, then you're proud of them. So what this does is that they'll be looking forward to challenge themselves. If they have a gift, they'll be looking forward to push themselves in the area of their gifting or in their talent, because you're proud as a parent of the effort they are making. So praise, but praise the effort, not the end. Okay? The other thing is to reward them with joys and pleasures. Set things that they love to do and they find joy in, or mostly in activities, and allow them to do that and take part in the process too. So for example, your child they love football. I'm using a boy so much. Maybe let's say your child is a girl and she loves to cook. Then set time apart to cook with them, to teach them a new recipe. It feels like in this chain of discipline, we're also improving on something that we love, something that is pleasant and the child loves to do, that now they can share that gives them joy with the parent. And this just goes a long way to establish their relationship. And even as adults, there are the people who always sacrifice and are with us. We are rarely looking forward to do them wrong, so even your child will be like, instead of disappointing dad in ABCD, you know, this will take away our cookout time. So I'll just finish my homework so that I can enjoy time with dad cooking, or time with mom sewing clothes. Whatever joy that your child is, indulge them in that. And then of course the other one is the pain. The pain still, the rod is still being used even at this stage. And when you're using the rod at this stage is where you've put your foot down, that there are things that we do not tolerate. There are mistakes maybe you bait in a 3 to 5, but now you can do away with them because they have improved. But then have like your big 3 that these cannot be tolerated in this house. For example, say lying. Like, there is no way we'll ever explain a lie. If you lie to me, you have to be caned. This one is not go to the corner or don't go to a restaurant. No, this is a rod. And have them explained and stick to it, so that you know that the child will never at any one time, you know, coerce you or push you or explain himself out of a lie. You'd better let them know that they would better say that I did a mistake, I went with my friends out, I did this wrong. But as long as they confess, then we can have a more lenient punishment. But if you find out that they lied, then we are not explaining. So have your big 3 at this stage. 3 are actually enough, you know, the one that covers the biggest values in your house, or things that you see are still to be established in the discipline of your child, and let them know that this one you'll not get away with. This one is a rod. And Nairobi Chapel, what they did is that when you finished the class, they gave us a rod. Let me show you ours. It's a stick and it has a verse. Can you see? It has a verse written on it. And so we keep this, and the child knows that these will be used for the big 3. He knows where the rod is kept. He knows what happens. And so when we discover that, for example, for us, he has lied, you know, we just go to the room and he takes it, and punishment has to be done. So have your big 3 that have to be punished, and punish them, because you do not want to bring up a child who lies or who abuses people, you know. So this stage, put your foot down and instill the discipline, the integrity, and the character you want to see your child grow with.